Welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, and Dedication. I'm your host, Garrett Cotton. We're missing Dakota Lane this week, but he'll probably be back on here soon. Today, we're very privileged and thankful to have a special guest, Isaac Prince, from right here in Orem, Utah. So how you doing, Isaac?
Doing well today, dude. I'm got through the traffic, got here, and excited to kind of connect with you and add some value on this podcast today.
Heck yeah. Well, let's dive in and kind of just go back a little bit. We can talk about where you came from, how you got here, what's some of the things that you're balancing and juggling in life right now. So if you want to kind of dive into that.
Yeah, I'm from Utah, born and raised. I come from an incredible family. I have an incredible dad who has been like my main mentor through my life. He's created businesses, and he's currently scaling his business to become $1 billion business. It's called Make Wellness.
Awesome.
And that's almost at its year mark, which is really cool. I have an incredible mom who's taught me more about just what it means to love other people and just be like a genuine person than anyone else in my life. Yeah. I have 3 incredible siblings, and I just got home from my 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints a year ago in August. Yeah. So it's been exactly a year, and this past year has been kind of like if I were to say what it's felt like I've gotten into a new like map or like a new area, like a new level of my life, and I've just been trying to figure out my surroundings, figure out my bearings, and I'm still doing that to a large degree, but I feel like in this next year, I'm excited to take a lot of what I've learned and how I've kind of come to realization of some of my like strengths, my limiting beliefs, and how I want to break through those. Yeah. And just kind of start this next stage of my life. Yeah. A stage of life I've never been in before. So.
Oh, no, I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. And I always admire people who are in the church and they go on missions. Before we get on the mission topic, so for your family, you got three siblings as well.
Yep, I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Okay. That's what I was going to ask. So would you say that, what's the age groups?
So it's me, I'm 21, 18, 15. Actually, she's 16 now. I always tease her that she's like younger. Yeah. But she's 16, and my little brother is turning 13 on the 13th of this month.
Heck yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Big families. I think that it's kind of funny when I look back, and a lot of the guests that we've had on who are part of the church, I believe that a lot of the successful people who have been on here, it comes from, being raised the right way. A lot of times we see people that stray off and go in their bad directions, but I feel like people in the church, the family culture is so strong, and in the guidance, I mean, there's not really the distractions of, it's hard to get distracted by bad things out here. You're surrounded by beauty. You're surrounded by good people. I always talk about Louisiana in comparison to the church of Louisiana. Like, people just don't take as good of care as they do here in Utah. The churches, the grass is always immaculate. The trees look fake sometimes. Like, I feel like a lot of that has to do with, being brought up in a strong family culture to where, the whole family is here for the better, Yeah. So as far as your mission though, so you went to West Virginia for your mission. All right. So kind of give us a little bit of insight of some of the stuff that you learned on that mission and how it helped you to grow into who you are.
Well, I was in West Virginia, I was in Eastern Kentucky, and I was in Virginia. And so I saw a side of the country I've never seen before, which is, my first area was a little southern town in West Virginia. It's the 3rd most impoverished county in the country, and it has the highest drug overdose rate for its size, like for its population size. It used to be this thriving coal mine town, and, coal mine towns have kind of deteriorated over time. So just a lot of rough situations, a lot of poverty. And so seeing that was really different from what I've grown up in. But if I were to summarize my mission in a phrase or a sentence, I would say it was like having a personal 2-year walk with Christ. And what I mean by that is it literally felt like I was just like almost walking with God every day in the situations that I encountered and the people I met and the experiences I got to have. And, I grew so much with the people that I served with, like my companions. Yeah. I had, as most do probably, some difficulties with that. But it taught me so much about kind of my strengths and weaknesses. I learned that some of my biggest weaknesses are also my biggest strengths.
Yeah.
And I learned kind of how to navigate that. But the biggest gift I got from my mission, without a doubt, is just my conversion to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That relationship has carried me through so much since getting home. Because I'd say probably this year home has brought me some of the more challenging events in my life.
Since you've been back.
Yeah, since I've been back, this year's has kind of mentally and emotionally and just in figuring out who I am and where I want to go has been very challenging. But I've really grown a lot. And since my mission, I just think that conversion to Christ has made all the difference.
Yeah. Do you feel like, and I'm just curious, so being on your mission, so you don't get to talk to family nearly as much, you know. I know that's changed over time, but were you allowed a cell phone? Like, could you
Yeah,
talk?
we could call once a week
Okay.
to our
Yeah.
family.
I've heard stories like from older guys and stuff where they're like, no phone, like writing letters, stuff like that. And, you know, 2 years they'll come back and see family. So I'd imagine that's a struggle in itself. The only way that I can really relate is, so I love the idea of a mission because it's almost like a forcing you to grow up. Yeah, you go out there on your own. You're not given
really
a
does.
surplus of, you know, money or opportunity. You're out there purely to help people that are struggling. You know.
It's also a great way to just focus because you have cut out everything that's not focused on your purpose. And your purpose is so simple as a missionary. It's just to help others come into Christ by helping them receive the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. Every action you take, every part of your day, I love how we daily plan, we weekly plan. Everything we do is focused on that purpose.
Yep.
And so I learned what it was like to focus so solely on something that brought me so much fulfillment. Because the goal itself is, I don't even know if you could really have a higher goal than that. I mean, I think at some level we all want to feel significant. We all want to matter. So our goals aren't just tied to monetary things or to status things. At some level we want to feel like we matter and that we're making a difference.
Yeah.
As a missionary, I felt like it was the first time I really tasted what it really meant to make a difference. And serving people every day in a really significant way, I learned that I need to always be doing things for people who can't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing if you do things for people who can do things for you, like in business, or like you benefit somehow either monetarily or you benefit from like a relationship.
Yeah.
But I just think you start to feel the pure love of Christ in a different way when you do things for people who can't offer you anything. They can't get back to you in any way.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Bible, and I grew up Pentecostal, so a little bit different from.
I met tons of awesome Pentecostals. I met a lot of holy rollers too.
Yeah, speaking in tongues, running up and down the aisles. Yeah, that's the kind of church I grew up in. So yeah, way different for sure.
Even you just saying like how you say Bible, like Bible.
Yeah, right.
That takes me back. That's exactly how people sounded in West Virginia and stuff.
It's just a little different. Yeah, but yeah, in the way that I was growing up though. I used to do Bible quizzing and I would study scripture and things like that. And I mean, I throughout over time as I got older, I started to stray away from Christ a little bit, you know, going through high school and college. And then I joined the Army and stuff like that. And kind of during those periods, I strayed away. But in the church, I love that you guys have a mission where you go and it's purely to add value to people. And you're trying to just I'm moving here. I've realized that as soon as we moved here, the first week we had somebody knock the door. They were like, "Hey, if you need help moving anything, like just call us. Like we're here and like completely free." And they were like, "We are here to help you, and we're here to make your move in easy." You know, and that's like adding value to people in your life. And there's a scripture that I remember. I might be saying it wrong, but the Bible says to give with your left without your right, or without your right knowing, or it's something along the lines of that. And it comes back to like to trying to help people without expecting something in return. And I've taken that in my experience as well. I help people get out of Louisiana. The monetary side of it is kind of a byproduct of being a good person.
If you help enough people get what they want, then you always have what you'll need, right?
That's right.
Jim
Yeah.
Rohn.
If everybody beneath you and like everybody around you grows, then you're also growing with it. And I like to I lead some of my meetings, and I like to use one of the scriptures that I've heard is that good people are in the favor of the Lord. So by us going out there, I try and change people's life, and I try and show them that it's possible to get out of the bad places where they're at, whether it's living in a house where, they're surrounded by drugs, or if they're in a position where they're struggling financially to support their family. That's my opportunity here. Is kind of like, it's more than just getting people to come and sell windows.
And you were just telling me about how you've done that, and you've kind of built these offices and brought a lot of your friends and kind of influenced a lot of people where you've grown up to come out here, and they've experienced a different environment, different training, and different role models, which is so cool. Another scripture, just real quick, on doing things for people who can't do anything for you in return. So in the scriptures in the New Testament, when Jesus is talking about, he says to the apostles, I was hungry and you gave me bread. I was sick and you visited me. I was afflicted and you comforted me. And the apostles say, like, when have we done these things? And he says, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you've done unto the least of these, my brethren, you've done unto me. Right? There's a hymn, one of my favorite hymns, called The Poor Wayfaring Man of Grief. And that's the story. The story is this guy, you can say it would be you in the story, or that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to step into the story as someone who's helping this poor wayfaring man of grief. I always picture like a homeless guy kind of looking, where it basically says he's crossed my path multiple times. He was thirsty. I gave him water. He was without shelter, and I brought him into my home. The very end of the song or the hymn says he stood to be next condemned for something he didn't do. And you, as this person in this hymn, you step in and take his punishment for his place, and you pass away, you die. And then the very, very last part is the most beautiful part, where it says basically you come up to meet your creator, to meet Christ, and you see that he was that homeless guy all along.
Yeah.
And the famous line for me that just I try to repeat to myself is, these deeds shall thy memorial be. Fear not, thou didst it unto me. I just love that. I love how, and we fall very short of that, but if we could just remember more often that the way we treat other people is how we worship God.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it's a really high bar, but I think that's the right way to aim.
Yeah, and I'm sure that religion also plays a big part in the businesses that you're a part of, right? So in your experience with the insurance business, we haven't really talked about that too much, but maybe kind of give us some insight about what you're just kind of tell us about the insurance business.
Yeah, what I'm up to. Well, when I came home, I wasn't sure what to do professionally. I kind of dabbled in a few things. I did a little bit of door-to-door, doing turf. And
Okay.
I also did my dad's business with Make Wellness, doing peptides. I haven't been doing it as much anymore. I'm still like a part of it, but I just realized it wasn't my main thing. And my uncle, who's just one of my favorite people, he's someone I look up to, and he's just so full of Christ-like love. He did door-to-door for 10 years, just really did really well. He kind of exited that industry and found this insurance opportunity. And I remember he kind of coached me up a little bit when I was doing door-to-door for a few months. So I started talking to him a little bit more after my mission. And one night I was telling him that I just felt like I could be doing more with my time. I could be making more, doing something bigger. And he told me about this business that he had recently gotten into, where he was in an IMO selling life insurance as a broker with all these different life insurance companies. And I just remember that night on that call and just feeling like that was what I was supposed to move into,
Yeah.
to work with him, to start my own business. And for the past, I mean, I started doing my testing, my licensing earlier this year in February, got my license, started, calling leads. And to be totally straight with you, Garrett, it's been a really interesting journey to figuring out the lead sources and the actual business, figuring out my own skill level. And, I've recruited some of my friends into it. But what I can say right now is, I don't know if it's just my personality or if this is just what I feel. Maybe I've gotten it from my dad partially, but if I'm going to be doing something, I want to take it to be as big as it can be. I want to be one of the best in the world at whatever I do.
Yep.
Because I can't not do it any other way.
Yeah, you can't do it halfway.
And so I think right now I'm really figuring out what that means in this industry, what products that means selling, what scale I'm trying to get this to. We were talking about that book that Blake Erickson and was it Ben Hardy, I believe, that they wrote, that Science of Scaling book. That's been totally changing my paradigm on goals and how to use goals to get what you want in life. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel like this is so funny. I'm like having this podcast at this time because I think I'll probably look back at this and realize that this day and this kind of time in my life was a transition time to really scale and really go for what I want to do in this insurance industry.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've just kind of been dabbling a little bit in different leads and different ways of doing it. But I'm kind of on the cusp of doing something really big with it. I think in the next 5 years, I'm figuring out what I really want to take it to. So
Yeah. I've noticed, so when I grew up through high school, anything I've ever done, I've always wanted to be I wanted to be decent at everything. I wanted to be able to do, like, I can play tennis decent. I'm not terrible. I can hang with people, but I was like, consider myself average. I was on a football team. I wanted to be good enough to be on the starting team, but I didn't want to be like all state or go to do it in college or anything like that. I just wanted to be good enough to say that I could do a little bit of everything. And then whenever I came out here for door-to-door sales, that's whenever I think my perspective on all that changed. It switched from being an average person in the room, to if I'm going to do something, I want to do it for the full benefit of it. And so it's helped me to also change my perspective in, if I'm working out, like I need to do something extreme. That's why I told myself I want to do an Ironman next year. Something that very few people achieve. If I'm a father, I want to be the most involved father that I can be. Yeah, for the husband, I want to be the most involved husband. In business, for the people that I bring into my business, I want to be the best mentor for those people that I can possibly be. And I think a big shift for me was coming out here and seeing that, like goal setting. When you set goals and you're surrounded with people who are doing incredible things, it makes you realize that almost anything is possible. And what I've learned from this is that I can put my mind towards anything, and if I eliminate distractions, then the only thing holding me back from being that top 1% in any field is myself and my accountability. Would you say that? So I know that you did sports growing up, and you're big into things like that. Were you similar in the idea that? Have you always wanted to be the best in what you do, or have you just kind of been, is this kind of like a new mindset that you've had?
One of the things that I'm really, really grateful for is that my dad always told me he loved me, and he always told me he was proud of me.
Mm-hmm. Now I can attest to that and say that I've never felt the desire to seek attention and stuff like that, because me and you as well. My parents were amazing parents. They've always been there for me. They used to call me King Garrett growing up. Like it's always been like they're boasting me up, and I guess that's helped with my self-confidence of knowing that I can achieve anything. It comes from the way we're raised.
I think he told me that, and he just helped me to see myself in a bigger way. Mm-hmm. And he also helped me to see what I could be through what he was. Yeah. Meaning, as he became the best he could in his health, mm-hmm. and his business and his relationships, and with his relationship with my mom, it just gave me a vision of what I could be. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the biggest gifts my dad's given me, Might be the biggest one is really just his incredible unconditional love that he's had for me, his undying support for me, and just how he's shown me through his life that God really does have a plan for all of us. He does gift us and endow us with this potential, this inner greatness. And I love this quote by Winston Churchill that says, and I might slightly modify the quote, but he says, to every man there comes that special moment when he is figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do something great, something unique to him and fitted to his talents. What a shame, what a tragedy if that moment finds that man unqualified or unprepared for that which would be his finest hour.
Right.
My dad is an example of being figuratively tapped on the shoulder, offered the chance to do something great, and I feel like I'm seeing him in his finest hour. And so when I see my life, I don't know if insurance is going to be the long-term main thing. Maybe it will. Right now, I know that that's what I'm doing. And so I'm going to develop myself and I'm going to grow to make a story for myself.
Yeah.
Like I really want to help a lot of people succeed. I want to do something that hasn't really been done before. And with that story, perhaps it will lead me on to new opportunities. It will lead me on to new ways of impacting people.
Yeah.
Can I share with you something that's really helped me lately? Have you read The Greatest Salesman in the World?
It's been recommended to me, but I haven't read it yet.
So you know what's funny? So when I first got home from my mission and I started in that turf company, I was gifted that book. It's this tiny little book, right? And
this is when you got back from the mission?
And it's funny because it's a little book. It's old. And it's one of those books that everyone kind of knows about and everyone tells you should read. And at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like, I'd rather, you just kind of get caught up in doing other things and reading other books and whatever. Well, I finally decided to take a crack at it. And I didn't realize this, but it tells you in this book, there's these 10 scrolls that are supposed to lead you essentially to become the greatest salesman in the world or this incredible master of your profession.
Yeah.
You read each scroll 3 times a day for 30 days before you move on to the next scroll, and there's 10, which means you're basically reading this for a year.
Yeah.
And I'm reading the first one right now, and I'm just telling you, there is a power when you realize how to just consistently feed your mind and to feed your spirit. Words have an effect on you. Your content you watch, that has an effect on you. The videos, the people you hang around, it has an effect on you. And that reading that scroll 3 times a day for 30 days is already having a really profound effect on me. And I'm excited to see in 10 months from now what will change, what will transform.
Yeah, it does take a level of discipline. I would say that's probably what I'm most thankful for about having the opportunity to come and do door-to-door here in Utah is whenever I came out here, I separated myself from everybody. My wife today, we broke up because I came to Utah. It wasn't like I'm cheating on you, I'm going to go. It was nothing like, it was purely, hey, I love you to death. We've been together for 3 years. I'm going to Utah to go change my life in every aspect possible. And then if we're meant to be together in the future, then we will be. And she understood that. And I left for 2 months and came to Utah and then moved to Denver. And over that course of time, I didn't have to. I chose to. I chose to delete Instagram and delete TikToks and delete Facebook, any type of distraction. And what it did is it forced me. I'm very thankful because I'd never listened to a podcast in my life. And I started listening to like Door to Door Experts podcast and Grant Cardone's The Cardone Zone. And I started listening to like Andy Elliott's The 1%. And I started listening to these podcasts. And I tell people all the time today that I truly believe that the success that I've had in the last 2 to 3 years comes from what I've surrounded my mindset with. And a lot of the times I think about it, you think about choose your hard. It's hard to get in the car and turn on a podcast. But it's also hard to be in the same place 20 years from now. Choose your hard, So I always tell people that proximity is power. Who you surround yourself is who you're going to be. And when I came out to Utah, I didn't know anybody. So I took that as an opportunity to surround myself with people that I want to be like. And like Andy Elliott, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, like all those guys. And instead of turning on music every day, I would always turn on podcasts, and I would just listen to the way that they think. And I truly believe that by obsessing with for 2 years, and I had to show that example too when I had people living in my house. We get in the car, we're going to work, podcast. We're going to the workout in the morning, podcast. We're always listening to a book or a podcast or something of growth. And I've set that example for so many people over the past 2 years.
That's awesome, man.
That it's helped to influence my mindset of, ultimately these guys are millionaire, billionaires type individuals, and it's because of the way that they think. It's because of how they handle situations when they're given to them. So it's kind of I've told myself that I don't have the luxury of hanging out with Grant Cardone. He's not up the street. I can't go call him. But I do have the luxury of pulling it up on my phone and putting that as controlling what I'm putting into my body. So I think that that's helped out tremendously in helping mold my mindset into where we're at today. And any recommendations of books, I always take them, and as soon as we get done, I download them, and I've just got a list of next ups to reads. And it's stuff that if it's helped you, then I wanna know how it can help me as well. So with your in your role right now, so were you big on reading and listening to podcast stuff on your mission, or was it like when you got back, you would say you more dove into that type of growth?
It's a good question. When I was 12 years old, I just felt like I wanted to know what my purpose was.
Mm-hmm. That's young. I probably didn't start thinking like that until I was probably 25.
I'm looking at my dad just like being a rock star, and I'm just like, man, what is my life's purpose? And I'm sure everyone asks something along those lines in their life. And I started getting in my head. I was just like, I don't know what I want to do, what I want to be, and just kind of got into a low headspace a little bit. And I remember I coming to my dad when I was 12 years old and just telling him how I felt. And I was like, I just wanted to have something I could sink my teeth into. And he told me that it's okay not to know right now, but while you wait, you should start developing yourself.
Yeah. And at 12 years old, you got a good head start.
And so I just started trying to model my dad, and I tried to start to listen to the books he listened to. Mm-hmm. I started to work out like him, and I owe a lot of that to just the example he showed me as far as what to listen to and what to be a part of. And, our lives, our decisions we make, they're motivated at a very fundamental level by pain and pleasure, is what I've been learning. And so if you can, oftentimes to change, we kind of wait till we're just in a lot of pain. Mm-hmm. And we get to that point where we just say, I'm so sick and I'm so tired of where I've been, and you need to move. Mm-hmm. Or you can have the idea of pleasure kind of pull you to something. I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times in my life, I felt very inadequate. Mm-hmm. And especially even recently, being home, there's been a lot of insecurities that have made me feel like at my low moments, like I don't matter. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that's helped me from just God constantly, relentlessly showing up in my life, to him placing great friends in my life, to him placing great mentors and content to absorb. But, and him reminding me, God reminding me of who I really am, my true identity. Like I'm a son of God. I have the seeds of greatness within me. Yep. And, I get to be here in this life, and I get to be here right now in this podcast, and I get to breathe, and I have full mobility in my body, yep. And I get the opportunity to share love with people. Mm-hmm. There's the truth of kind of who I am that's helped me a ton. But as far as kind of feelings of inadequacy, I think that's been a big driver for me in wanting to improve, because, I'm a dreamer, and I think a lot about my future, and I think a lot about, I do this priming activity every day that Tony Robbins does, where part of the priming is you think of 3 moments in your future that haven't happened yet, but you envision them and you breathe, and you just, you get into this space where you're actually there. Mm-hmm. You breathe as you would breathe. You celebrate as you would celebrate. And he says, envision these 3 moments, celebrate them as if they've already happened. And I'm telling you, Garrett, I think of me being a father and having a kid, a son in my arms. Yeah. I think of me with my future wife. I think of me in some kind of like mastermind or something, like being on stage and being able to impact people
Yeah.
and touch people and see people and help them see themselves as they really are. And that just pulls me, dude. And I look at myself now and I look at things I struggle with and I'm like, it's just not who I really am, who I really want to be. Like even right now in my insurance world and my business world, I feel like I'm in a chrysalis. I feel like I'm just in like a tadpole stage where I'm just figuring things out. But I will figure things out because there's one thing that I know for sure about myself. One thing about Isaac Prince is he figures things out.
Yep.
And I always start kind of at the bottom, not really knowing anything, but I can adapt, I can learn, I can grow, and I can figure things out. So a big driver of my personal development has been the pull of I know who I really am, I know who I really can be, and I know the great blessings that God has in store for me. But also, man, it's been pain. It's been pain of not feeling good enough, pain of not feeling like I'm, like there's just more in me. And you
Does
know
that
what?
drive you to change habits? Or
It drives you to change everything, dude. I think there's enough pain you can experience to where it will move you to do anything. And I think if you experience enough pain in something, it just drives you to move forward. Like at some level, you experience so much pain where you just say, I am sick and tired of living like this. I'm sick and tired of this limiting belief. I'm sick and tired of having people treat me this way. I'm sick and tired of looking at myself this way. I'm sick and tired of having the results I've been having.
Yep.
And you just get so sick and tired of it that it forces you to move forward.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's definitely a motivator, but it's also a little bit of it's a short fuse. That's why you need to have that pull. You need to have something that's pulling you, a future that you really desire, that's pulling you towards it. And so that's where I feel like I'm at right now. I'm 21. You know, I'm figuring life out. I'm figuring out my business, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, and you've got a great mindset for it too. I think that's, in my experience, it came from I was at a position where something had to change. You know, working at Chili's for 5 years through college, and then I was about to graduate and go into health. Actually, I worked in life insurance too. I got licensed, never made a sale. You might know the company Primerica. Have you ever heard of Primerica?
So that would be the captive route.
Yeah.
So there's like the captive route, there's the agency, there's the broker route, which is where you kind of would sell for all of the companies.
Okay.
So you can like match people with who they're best fitted with.
Yeah, I think that's what they used to say. It was like your one-stop shop for life
Exactly.
or insurance.
Exactly.
in general.
Exactly. So that's what you do. You probably sell people bundles and whatnot.
Yeah, I was young. I was 18 when I started it, and didn't work out for me. So, long story short, that's what drove me to join the Army, actually. So I went to the Army National Guard, and I always say that I kind of relate my experience at basic training as like a shorter version of a like a mission, you know, because you go away for 2 years where you're separated from everything that you know. You're in a location where you don't know anybody, and it's just you figure it out, and you go out there and you do what you're supposed to do. And that's kind of like in basic training. You go out there, it's no phones, you write letters, you'll get letters like every couple of weeks, that kind of stuff. And I remember the most vivid part about basic training for me was laying in bed every night, and to go to sleep, I would just have a conversation with God. And every single night, I think my relationship with Christ, for also, basic was terrible. Like I went infantry, so it was like really, really hard. And it was at the point where Sunday was the day that I looked forward to the most, because I got to get away from all this hectic chaos and just get to go and listen to church and get closer to God.
Doesn't that feel so restful?
100%. Yeah, no, it was your peace. That was your week, your whole week. You look forward to going to church, but it was kind of like everything in life was so hard that was the only light in the life, and that was a place where I got to, you know, just have softness on my heart and not be so stressed out and everything. So I feel like
focus would change.
Yeah, and it taught me the structure and the discipline to not quit and to keep moving forward, because I'm here for a reason. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't meant to be here. I need this structure.
Yep.
And I take all of what I learned through that experience and I apply it in my day-to-day today, as far as like If you have a task at hand, you must accomplish the task. You're given this task because I'm the person that needs to accomplish it. So it's given me a lot of structure as well, and it's helped me in my business to continue to grow. But for your mindset, where you're at, if I could give any advice, I love the little one-liner sayings that just keep me going. And for where you're at, I think that if you're in the right place and you have mentors and you have people that are guiding you in the right direction, it's a formula of persistence plus failure equals success. Every time you experience that failure, you're just getting a little bit closer to your true reason or of why you're doing it. So even with door-to-door sales where I'm at, when I came out here to do it, I said, I got to do it because this is my opportunity out that I've been praying for. When I got here, they gave me a script. They said, memorize the script, go act like a marketing coordinator on a door. And I said, okay. And I went out there in my first month. I was like, I'm going to knock on somebody's door and they're going to ask me to come and be in a play, or they're going to ask me to be in a movie because I'm acting so well of this role. And I thought that that's where this would take me. But I understood the longer that I'm here that because I'm surrounded by people who are doing what I want in life, it's a matter of time. And if I persist through the failures I experience in this room, eventually I'm going to see that success that I have envisioned for myself.
Love it, man.
So if for your case as well, you're 21 years old, you've got a huge curve on a lot of people. Just to already have this mindset before, for me, I was 25 years old before I took the risk of coming here. If I tell people all the time that if I would have learned about this opportunity at 18, I probably would have botched it because I didn't have the mindset. I didn't have almost the desire to better myself. I was just so comfortable in the day-to-day life where I didn't know. I was like you, where I felt like I had a bigger purpose, but I had no direction at all. So I took a risk to come out here, and God gave me this opportunity, and now it's my turn to make it into something incredible. Like you were saying, I want to be the best of the best. When we talk about podcasts, we want to have podcasts that are, up there, thousands of episodes. I think we're on like episode number 56 or something, like 58 or something, and we just started in December of last year. Was that last year? Maybe the year before. But yeah, the idea is that it's consistency. We started off doing them in our bedrooms, sticking foam up on the walls to kind of help with the sound to the point now we're at 50 episodes. We have a legit podcast studio. I'd love to see 100 episodes from now. But the reality of it is persistence plus failure equals success, even in this. If the longer we do it, the more that we experience failures, or if something goes wrong, it's just us getting that much closer to our true goal. But it's been a great journey so far. But so one last thing though, as far as diving into like the peptide business and stuff like that, so kind of tell the audience just a little bit about the growth that you guys see coming from this and what's your involvement with it.
So, it's a whole story in of itself. Mm-hmm. My dad was basically the number one network marketer at his prior company, and they essentially betrayed him and kind of terminated him without a phone call.
Damn.
And so he, at a moment, he now had lost his business, his income, and he had enough to where he'd be fine, and truthfully be fine for the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. But the bigger question he was faced with was like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
What's my story going to be?
It's hard to build something and to be a part of something so big. I always think of the theoretical, and if that were to happen to me, it's like, what would I go do?
His whole life was turned upside down.
Yeah.
Well, he realized that he wanted to get back in the business, but he didn't want to create something where it was like, my supplement's better than your supplement, my drink's better than your drink, my collagen's better than your collagen. He wanted to create something that would revolutionize the health and wellness space. Mm-hmm. And he partnered with the former CEO of New Skin, Truman Hunt, mm-hmm. who is a very successful and incredible businessman and leader, and some other incredible leaders as well. They basically partnered with this lab that had been researching bioactive peptides found in nature if you've heard of like Ozempic, semaglutide, those are all like synthetic peptides with needles.
Yep.
My dad had been taking those, and he just realized how powerful they were. But you can't really scale needles.
Yeah.
You can't really scale prescriptions. So they found this lab that had been researching these nature-based peptides, partnered with the lab, and now they're kind of the first company to come out with this kind of revolutionary health and wellness peptide market where they're pills, they're these drinks, and because they're bioactive, there's no need for prescription. They're super effective. They do things like muscle recovery, focus, energy, and they're kind of rolling out with more as we speak.
Heck yeah.
That was a year ago around this time, and my dad's goal was not only to create a successful business, but he wanted to create kind of a leadership revolution in the country through this business. Their goal was to do 19 million their first year in business. They are on course to hit 100 million.
Oh, wow.
And so his goal is to raise us to $1 billion company and just change values and principles in the homes of the people who work in Make Wellness.
Yeah.
So strengthening, fathers, strengthening mothers, strengthening families. And my dad and what he's done is a testament to that mission, because I am who I am today, and I am who I'm going to be because of the way he treated me and the way he loved me. And same as for my mom as well. I wouldn't be who I am without her. So Make Wellness, it's a peptide company. We sell peptides, but really we're here to have a value and principle-based leadership revolution in the world. And my involvement in it right now is I'm kind of just doing it part-time. I have a small circle sales that I do, but I'm not really in it like big time as much as my dad is. But I take all the peptides every day. I love the business. I love taking people on who want to be a part of it. And it's been really cool to see him in his element doing something that's really impacting people's lives.
Yeah, it sounds like it definitely has a huge impact, and I love the mindset behind it as well. I always tell people, even in what we do, in order to be successful, you either have to be first or you have to be different. And it sounds like what your dad's doing is he's taking it a complete different approach with more just. He's approaching it completely different from all those synthetic places. Because Ozempic, I've heard so many people talk about Ozempic and stuff like that, and I didn't even know what it was for the longest time. And one of the guys in my office was like, "Bro, that Ozempic, you got to get on that." I'm like, "No, I'm not taking Ozempic."
As you've heard of Ozempic, that's kind of that's the synthetic ones that you like. If you were to hear an Ozempic, you'd think of the whatever company or whatever synthetic. The goal is, when you hear bioactive peptides, you think of Make Wellness.
That's awesome. That's great. All right. Well, sweet. Well, other than that, I always like to ask, one of my questions is like, so give me 3 books that you think have really helped you to kind of form your mindset today.
The Science of Scaling. I love John Maxwell's books.
Oh, yeah.
I would
5
say
Levels of Leadership. I just read that one too.
He has a book. Oh man, it's slipping my mind. It's been a while since I've read it, but it's the laws of growth he talks about. And then Brendon Burchard, I read a book by him recently. It's called The 6 Habits of Growth.
Okay.
And Brendon Burchard is a great author as well. So I'd say The 6 Habits of Growth and any of John Maxwell's books. One of my favorites is the one that he talks about growth. I'm like embarrassed, I can't even remember what the name is, but it's something like the 16 invaluable laws of growth, something along those lines.
So from those books, do you have any like daily habits that you hold yourself to that you think help with your leadership abilities?
Prayer.
That's huge. One of mine is pray before every meal. It's just that small time.
Prayer, because I'm nothing without God, and I just have realized that every good thing comes of Christ. And I don't mean to sound superficial here, but really, like, I've been making it a goal to have an ongoing conversation with God, meaning just throughout the day, having sentence prayers, just acknowledging Him and what I'm doing. And then in times when I have by myself, having dedicated time to pray with Him. That has been a huge habit that I'm doing and continuing to improve on.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, sometimes it's just the simple stuff.
Really
there's a lot of like hype around habits, I feel like. So there's so many books about it. There's so many like people that are super successful doing all these routines. And I really think if you're eating right, you're getting enough sleep, you're feeding your mind with good truth, and you're connecting with your Creator, I think you're well on your way to a good life.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I tell my team all the time.
And and surrounding yourself with people you love and people that make life sweeter, because that's a big one.
Yeah.
Your relationships, the quality of relationships, it can't not be inseparably connected to the quality of your life.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I tell my teams, one of the scriptures I loved was, a tree with good roots will bear good fruit. And I think about that in your relationship of like, pray. Something as simple as that. Anytime that I find that things are getting hard in my day to day, of like I'm dealing with the big stress of, decision making, or I've got to fire this guy, or I've got to get this person right. I just kind of like, I'm like, hey, I'm given this opportunity, and even my wristband is like, let go and let God. It's kind of like I have to realign myself and just say a quick prayer. Or I kind of get myself closer, or even getting back into church. I'll go on Sunday, and I feel like that little bit of interaction, it gets me back on the path of where I'm supposed to be going. So the further you stray away from Christ, I feel like you're straying away from your purpose. So I think it's a good point that you have of, just embed yourself in Christ and rely on that.
Yeah, he really, and your Heavenly Father, God, he really is in relentless pursuit of us and of you and of me. And I don't want to live any day of my life without him.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's going down that route is not a good route at all. And especially, I've tried to help people. It's been amazing because I've had the opportunity to bring people on in my business and who have lived in my house who are atheists, and like they don't believe in Christ at all. Well, bringing that into my house, I give them the opportunity of the job, and I feel like I've learned that the people who are like that, they just don't have a moral compass of they feel like I feel like they feel like they're lost. They can't find a true purpose because they don't have anything to rely on or to guide them in that direction. So like bringing those people in my house, I felt like that was my opportunity to still say prayer at dinner every single night, to still put church on Sunday morning if we're not going, like still like we're involving in it in the household. And the amazing part is over time, he would start to say stuff. He was like, oh, God's got your back or something like that. And he would make those comments from whenever he first lived in my house. It was like nothing at all. So I think that's a huge testament of just we're supposed to live in the image of God. And if you do good unto others, then, good will happen to you. And I truly think that that's a huge reason why Utah is such a successful place, is because the religion here it's strong. It's got a strong core of religion. So it's awesome, man. But yeah. All right. Well, any last words for the guests before you go, or?
I'm grateful that you had me on. Create your future with your future, not your past.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. Finish it up.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Well, where can we find you out on Instagram?
IJ Prince. That's my Instagram handle. I have a Facebook too. I think just Isaac Prince.
Yeah.
But
we'll tag you on everything on the pods and stuff.
Dope, bro.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for keeping up with us. We always really appreciate the support. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and leave us some questions if there's anything that we didn't talk about today. So thanks anyways, and we'll catch y'all next time.